I have a story about Tommy if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
We were, I think this was like the second or third year of 70s. And, I was a showrunner, and this is the first show I was ever a showrunner at. And we were going to a taping, and our tapings weren't very tough because we would shoot so much of the show, on Thursday without an audience. So if we'd shoot like 20 pages, we'd have 20, 25 more to shoot. And, I'm like, Tommy's been my hero. We used to drive to Canada. Tommy's Canadian, eh? And when I was like 14, 15, my brothers and I would we had a Vista Cruiser, by the way, and we would take that car to Canada, and we would play cassette tapes of Cheech and Chong, and so like Tommy was my fucking hero. So when we got him for that show, I was like, oh my God. And so we're going down Friday night, I'm going to tape the show, and we're in the alley. I don't know if Tommy even remembers this, but he's like, look, some of us, got high and smoked marijuana on the program. None of the kids, by the way, because they're millennials and they don't know how to live right. And so we're like sort of in the alley there, and I'm going in the show, and Tommy says like, hey, Tommy, and I think another writer, Phil, and they're like smoking a joint. And he goes, hey, you want a hit of this? And I'm like, yeah, man, because you're not going to say, no, I'm not going to get high with Tommy Chong when he was your fucking hero at 14. You're like, oh my God. And then I became a comedian. So I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm going to smoke some of Tommy's weed. But I was like, oh, I have to film the show though. I have to be like in there watching what happens. And so I thought, well, I'll just take 3 hits off of it. And it's like, fucking huge mistake. What a mistake I made. Because in like the early 2000s, you still got junk weed. My weed was junk, and Tommy had like the joke cop weed. He had like cop weed that was like so deadly. But I was like completely like, I was not going to not do that. So I did it. And then I go in and we start filming, and I don't know anything about what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to be. I'm like, so fucked. I'm just fucked 6 sheets and I'm like trying to watch the monitor, and I'm like, wow, there's 4 of them. There's 4 pictures that there's always been 4. I never noticed 4 before. Now there's 4. And I don't even make sense. I'm not even making sense. And Linda Wallum was like the co-exec producer, and Linda Wallum's like with me. And by the way, she's like, she knows something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I'm like, hey, Linda, I think I'm in trouble. And you need to you need to stay with me until I'm not. And she's like, okay, yeah, clearly, obviously something's wrong with you. And I may have even told her, I might have had a joint with Tommy. And she's like, did you? And I go, yeah, I did. And I didn't want to blow myself in. And so when you're done with a scene, the director's like, are we good? Are we moving on? And honestly, I'm like, who's he talking to? And Linda's like, are we moving on? I go, we should. Like, time's wasting, we should move on. And she's like, we're moving on. And I'm like, trying to figure out how my chair is going to get to the next place. And it took me, I swear to God, it took me like 3 scenes before I was even functional. I'm like, God, I need water. And I don't regret it. And I don't regret it. I'm like, whatever I lost, I had the thought, I'll fix it in editing, and I won't be high. So,
do you remember what episode that was? I'd like to see that episode.
No, you know what? But if I watched them again, I would know, because I would recognize my mistakes, And but yeah, I was like, and I don't regret it, and I'm not sorry. And it's like, it was like, it's like, hey, Minnesota Fats wants to play pool with you. You're like, okay, I'm going to lose, but I'm still going to do it, because it's fucking, Minnesota Fats. So that was like the best. Tommy, you were the best guy to work with. I loved you, man.
No, thank you.
Dystopia tonight.